Hello. Okay. Sorry, just making sure that the camera is actually... There we go. Cool. Zoom out a bit. Okay. Yes, my camera's going to be blocking my face a bit, but that's fine. There we go. Cool. Yeah. And let me know if you can hear okay. And yeah, so we are going to just take a look. I had planned today to do streaming throughout the day. My bundle was supposed to get here, but DHL got delayed. So today we're just going to be doing the unboxing, looking at what there is, and of course doing the assembly, which, speaking of, I need to... grab some corks, because my plan is to do these guys on lava bases. But that's good. Okay, cool. Someone's saying that the sound and video is good, so that's what we want. So now let's actually start showing something interesting on the screen. So, the box stuff. Let's just start with the action pack. So, there we go. Zoom out a bit. There we go. There's the action pack. The front, the back, the pyramid of dwarves. I like that they arranged them in a way that you can see all the dwarves by having them standing on a series of boxes to make a nice pyramid, which I especially like because my plan is to actually start making some things to sit on top of our objectives so that we remember that they are impassable in line of sight blocking, and I have a bunch of 3D crates which will fit perfectly. So let's get started. Of note that they've been alluding to it over the past bit with all the Last of the Wild stuff, but there is included a multi-faction narrative campaign, so we can take a look at that as well while we're doing the unboxing. For anyone that hasn't heard, the entire bundle, from what I've heard, so the action pack, the limited edition War Augur, and the Hearth Guard are all Unicool. So that's exciting news, because that means, for me to do a stream where I assemble them all, I can probably get them done in an hour and a bit or so. Whereas if they were in fact COcast, we'd probably be here until tomorrow morning. For reference, it's only like 7:30 here, so nice small box. I like the size, not the giant infinity ones, and a very nice compact little campaign book, nice and small. For reference, what can I put for reference? Here's a cell phone for reference, so it's like less than 3 cell phones big, but it's pretty thick. The campaign log on the back for if you're walking through the scenarios. Looks like the standard 3 scenarios that we've seen in the other 2 campaign books, but hopefully better than the first one. And unlike the other ones, this is all just campaign, so we have different things, and from what I've been told, it's not like the others where it's a set, Northern Tribes versus Embersig. Wow, blank there. Or Scions versus Feudum. So yeah, here we can quickly looking at the instructions. So yeah, so the army list for the Mounthaven for the campaign is the action pack models. So Olga, Keeper of the Sacred Here's this Keeper of the Sacred Flame. I think it's Keeper of the Sacred Flower, which is why I make that mistake too. Folder, Mounthaven Militia, Rodri, and the Raiders. And then there's actually a QR code here that you can scan. And I believe, let's quickly check. It seems to be saying that if I scan it, it will tell me both what to play for the other faction. They did ask that we confirm that this works. If my phone wants to, let's put some extra light on. There we go. This is supposed to, if this works, let me check. You're just going to take my word for it. I don't know how to, so I just show my screen. So that's going to take you to a link that leads to some PDFs. Ah! Sorry, my bunny just bit my foot. That wasn't very nice. You want to come on screen for a second while the thing loads? Nope, she's running away. She wants food. It's not your dinner yet. Okay. Yeah, so see, it loads up a PDF, which has additional narratives. So this looks like what it will do is if you've done the other campaigns where there's specific narrative elements based on faction, rather than having to put every factions in here, because this works for Mounthaven in any faction, you scan the QR code, you get the PDF that will have both the lore and the units. So if you see here, looking at it as you might expect, if you're playing the Hegemony, you get Drago, Frostfire Herald, War Surgeon, Bucklerman, Telia, and Pioneers. You get the Northern Tribes, Sienan, Scions, and Feudum. And then we get into the different lore. I'm not going to go through it that way, with no spoilers. But you see here, this is, this is the dragon scenario blurb that you read if you're doing Embersig. And a bit, if we scroll down, you get Northern Tribes. So that's a cool way to do it, where instead of needing to make this book either, have less lore in it or make it significantly thicker by having the other 5 factions also listed in here, instead now you just have the scenarios and the flavor text for the Mounthaven units. So that's really cool. I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to try and convince one of our locals to play through this over the next bit, and hopefully I can record those games and post them as well. But there, so that's the campaign booklet for the Last of the Wilds. But now let's actually get into the models. Yeah, so it does look like the other action packs. So, in terms of units, you're getting the same thing. You're getting a high command, you're getting an officer, you're getting a caster, a support character, a 4-man unit, which is like the basic infantry unit, and then a 2-man unit that's slightly more elite. For Mounthaven, their 2-man unit is actually the same cost as their line infantry, so they're less elite. But as I said, looking at all that beautiful blue unicool. So we have the bases, and then we will have the models. I'm just going to pull them out of the box, and then we can look at them, and I will work on assembling them. If you guys have any questions about either the action pack or any of the bundle products, or have any thoughts about the yes, yeah. So yeah, it's each faction is using their I just looked quickly, but yeah, it looks like each one is just using their action pack for the campaign. So did they need to spell it out so clearly? Not necessarily for people that know, but for people starting, it's helpful to have it listed. But yeah, it's the action pack, or if you got one of the 2-player starters, it would be the action pack and the Beyond box. So, Scions get Urkala. So it's a step further than the other narrative campaigns, because I believe the other narrative campaigns only used the 2-player starter boxes, so they didn't get into what would have been the Beyond box. So you actually do get an extra officer and the 2-model unit in this campaign, whereas if I'm remembering Song of the Dormant correctly, you just got, Uruk, the Intact, the Breath, and the Needle. This time you actually get the Anointed and Urkala the Maw as well. So you get a few more troops, so it's a bit more built out than the other 2 campaigns. Here are the cards. We got the really cool one, my favorite. One of the cool things they did design-wise that I like, which is English side on the side. Ooh, It's a bit shiny. Interesting. So this is, I can zoom in a bit. This is one of my, I'm really glad they did this, which is, oh, no, oh, blurry, there. Which is that they have it so that you attach the spell card. So this is for the folder. If you attach it to a unit, you just slide it under the same way you would a character card. So, you know, if you have the Raiders, so here we have the Raiders card. If you're attaching it to them, you just slide it under, and that shows that you're in the owl mode. You know, if you had a War Augur also attached to the unit, first you'd slide the War Augur into the unit, and then you'd slide the card underneath. And then if you switch to the bear, you just flip the card around, and you do that. Or, you know, for ease on table, maybe you put it sideways just because otherwise it's taking up a lot of space. But we have all the cards. If anyone wants to see the cards in more detail, I can put them up on the screen as well. Digital files instead of me just holding the paper ones. But, you know, we have the folders card. Here's the actual folder. We have the Militia. We have the Keeper. We have Rodri. We have the War Augur and the Raiders. Oh, and of course, the Hammer and Olga. So let's start getting into doing some cleaning and assembling of these models, unless people really want to see the other boxes first before we start doing all the assembly. As I said, it is all Unicool, so the assembly should be nice and quick. Just getting some sanding sticks out. So I still like using sanding sticks on these. Okay. And I'm just going to quickly just because I'm going to be gluing. Slide. Well, you don't need to slide the cards. You can just, you're going to move the cards around. Once you put them somewhere, you should be fine, but I guess one of them will be coming on and off. But, you know, the spell gives so many extra bonuses that they couldn't just keep it on the folder's card, because otherwise, you know, you wouldn't get as many crazy bonuses that her attach ability gives. And also the unit can switch what it has. So let's try and grab, here we go. We'll start with the leader herself. It looks like, on first glance, it looks like each individual model is in a separate individual baggie, which will make assembly extra easy. I'll put them on their bases in a little bit once I've assembled all the models, just because my plan is to do some lava bases, so I'll need to rip out some cork. When I do, I grabbed the wrong unopened thing of cork, and I want my open thing, but we'll get that in a second. So here is Olga's unassembled, so looking like she comes in 3 parts. Even before doing any cleaning, she pretty much just slots together perfectly. Luckily, no bending. If there is any bending, I might need to quickly turn off the camera, go grab some water, hot and cold water, or my heat gun and some cold water, just to do the rebending. But yeah, even without cleaning, she essentially just slots together. So just need to do some quick clipping. Well, I don't know if you were here when we saw the beginning, where we saw the actual box art, right? The back of the box does literally have them in a pyramid formation. So dwarf pyramid sounds appropriate based on that. So let's just quickly grab some of that off. Quickly look. It's bright enough on the screen, but for my eyes it's not. Yeah, that's... I'm not seeing any mold lines or anything on there. Those are the nubs that go into her hands. Oh, I think this is one little bit on the end. Just give it a quick sand off. While I'm here, just make sure the bottom of that is nice and smooth. Unicool is great. I'm not a big fan of the smell of it when you start sanding it. Doesn't seem healthy, but also I don't feel like putting a mask on. Okay, and there's a bit of flash at the bottom of her cape. And a nice little sand like so. Just a bit of flash like there. Just a bit of something there. Probably not even noticeable once she's attached. Hair, face looks clean. That very nice, good, crisp face. I am very glad that this is all Unicool, especially when we get to like the Militia's like hex armor. If that was, you know, Ceocast with a nice line down it, we might have had some issues. So grab some glue. Just put a dab on her. Nope. Super glue is being temperamental. So, people that are watching, how have you been liking the Mounthaven? Have you been looking at the profiles? Has there been particular things that you're excited to try? Ooh. Overflowing super glue. Dripping super glue, that's never good. Okay. Oh, I'm being stuck to my... I do know how to operate super glue, but apparently not today. There we go. Let's see. She just kind of slots in nicely. Takes the super glue very nicely. Okay, and then I have some super glue that fell on the table, so let's make good use of it. Put that there. Put that there. Hammer is nice and straight. Nope. Let's not glue the hammer backwards, and just dip your hand in there. There you go. Waste not, want not. There we go. And there we go. There is Olga / the hammer all done. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, you're not the first person that I heard say they were holding off on Warcrow until this faction. So I expect hopefully now we'll get even more people jumping into the game, because a lot of people were waiting for these guys. They definitely do seem to have some really cool synergies, even with just the few units that are out now. Okay, does anyone have a particular request of who to build next? If not, I'm just going to grab whoever's next. Yeah, You only have done hegemony. I have hegemony. I do need to get to actually painting them. Okay, so we're just going to do the folder next. If anyone wants to put a request for the next one, that's fine too. So first we have the super happiest bear spirit. Awesome. And we have the folder. So let's see how she goes together. So she's just 2 pieces, her and the bear. She already fits together super nicely. But this helps me know what is flash. So that means this big chunk here is flash. So let's just trim the bear a bit. Get the file. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they play. They, like Embersig, they seem like they are very, they're very scenario focused in that, they're good at conquest and holding points and not so good at moving around. But they have some tricks to help move around, just like the other factions that are a bit slower. You can't have a faction that's actually just, the slowest movement speed and doesn't have any movement tricks, but all their movement tricks do rely on, units working together, which kind of is fitting for these kind of, the way the dwarves kind of work in lore. And the details are super crisp. Cool. Okay, well, let's just add the bear to, let's go like this. And yeah, so my plan was today to do also all the painting of these guys, but since that's not going to happen, I'm probably going to, I might do that on the weekend, either Saturday or Sunday, do a bit of a stream while I paint a bunch of them. I'll probably do the initial airbrushing stages off camera, just because I don't have a good way to film that right now, so just for ease, I'll do that off camera. My plan is to do a more stylistic, very OSL heavy scheme, so the goal is for it to be done and painted nice and quick. So my plan is essentially to have the model in a kind of a dark blue, like most of the model in a dark blue, highlighted up, kind of to be like just like residual light in a dark cave. And then the plan is to have lava on the bases, so around some rocks. This is kind of either they're going through a lava field, or maybe it's a cave, a deep cave in Mounthaven that's been flooded. So there's going to be the bright red from below, kind of a blue from above, and then each of the models has some sort of kind of like that turquoisey glowing, either spirit energy, or for the others some of like the orichalcum canisters. So it's pretty much going to be heavy OSL. If you've seen any of my O12, I've done a similar type of scheme for them. But that's more like cyberpunky blue and pink. So, but as we were talking, there is the folder. Again, super quick and easy to assemble. Okay, 1 hour, and then I need to. Okay, anyone have a request of models from the action pack to assemble next? Anything. Going once, going twice. We're gonna move on to Keeper of the Sacred Fire. Actually, just give me 1 second. I'm going to grab my heat gun and some water, because as I thought, the banner does need just a tiny bit of straightening. But there he is. I'm just gonna flip off my camera. I'll be right back. Okay, I am back. So for anyone that hasn't built Unicool yet, only thing is sometimes the model, especially if they have like a long spear, like Black Angels, or in this case the banner, but there's sometimes a bit of a bend in the material, so you can't just force it back for it to stay. But what you can easily do is either take a bowl of hot water and a bowl of cold water, warm up the plastic, and then it gets a bit wobbly, and then you can just quickly put it together. Wait, what is this? Is this meant to? So I'm just trying to see how this goes. I'm trying to remember how this model looks. No. Okay, it goes like that. And I think it does stick past. Quickly reference the model. Okay, yeah, cool, but it's not that much. Okay, so this looks pretty straight. It's just this, if we see, there's a bit of a curve in it. So what you can do is either take hot water, warm it up, then put it in the cold water, which is what I have here. Or I have a heat gun. Just my mom used to use it for embossing or something, but then she stopped doing that and didn't need it anymore, so I just do this. Now it's a bit wobbly. You just try and hold it straight. Just put it in the water, cools off, and voila. Put it in the water, make sure it's nice and cold again. Cool. And now it is straight. Now, the little bit at the end's curved, but that I didn't bother fixing because it is flash. So, since I'm going to be cutting it off anyways, there's no point. And oh, the camera seems to have died there. 1 second. Oh, it is there. Okay, 1 second. I think it might have lost power for a brief moment there. Let's just... There we go. Cool. There. That should be fixed. Cool. Yes, the bellow pickaxe is really cool. Apparently, it's not a very effective weapon. I guess he just uses it to use the heat magic. His lore's pretty cool on like how he's. I feel like he could have been a spellcaster without just like actual spells based on lore, but he's not. But yeah, he invigorates the other dwarves and like heals their wounds. But when their wounds are healed, it has to be considered magic, I guess. Manifests in the form of like fire. So, like it's like good, that's healing me and leaving a nice burn mark. So, okay, just clearing out some of the little kind of like hairs that get left behind sometimes. Okay. This guy should be fun to paint with all the fire. Here we go. There's a little bit of chunk of flash on his arm. Cut that a bit too thick. There we go. Just kind of scrape it off nicely. And because this is Unicool, you can just kind of scrape it off nicely. Oh, I should do it on camera. So what is everyone's favorite model from the action pack so far? I think it's a hard call. I think I like for me it's either the folder, mainly because of the bear, I just love the Spirit Bear, and I like the little origami bear. But the other possibility for me would be, I really like the more active Raider, the one that's looks more like they're running almost. We'll get to him in a little bit. I think those two are my favorite of the models themselves. If you do want to know, I know someone said that they were, looking at starting Warcrow with the faction. I am doing, like, I had my video today where I kind of went over things more broadly, but I am going to be putting out videos every other day starting tomorrow, going through each unit in more detail, a bit of their lore, and then like a more detailed look at their profile itself. So if you've seen any of my Architect Forge is what they call the videos for the Scions or Feudum, it's essentially going to be that for all of the new Mounthaven. The bonus War Augur is pretty great. I mentioned it in the video earlier today, but I think they were saying that it is actually based on somebody that does, I believe, lore for Warcrow, which is always pretty great. But yeah, he's pretty. We'll get to him in a little. He just looks like a guy that's not necessarily fighting, but is coming and being like, okay, here's the deal. Here's what's happening. I know all the things that are going to happen. You should do this. So, okay. Quick little cleanup. Yeah, for anyone that hasn't built a lot of Unicool, for me, the part that, if anything takes time, it's just getting things straight that aren't straight. But so far, we're about to be 3 models down, and that's with me having some delays, and the stream's only been going for a little bit. So these guys are, if you picked them up and were trying to get to game night, you only had like an hour and a half, you could probably just quickly throw them all together, slap them on some bases, and then get out to play. So the time from purchase to table is pretty good. Origami priest with the top hat. Oh, I think you're talking about Rodri. Oh, so here we go. There is the Keeper of the Sacred Fire. Any Lord of the Rings fans out there, whenever I say his name, it just makes me think of Gandalf fighting the Balrog, because he yells that he is the Keeper of the Sacred Fire. But you said origami priest with the top hat. I am assuming that you mean Rodri, because the origami wizard would be the folder, but she has a bear, not a top hat. So this guy, I assume, is who you're talking about. This is Rodri, the 13th executor of the master plan. He has this cool little statuary, and here is his unfolding origami thing. I'm not quite sure how this, I assume this would fit in here like so, but those are both outies. Let me see. Oh, no, I'm wrong. There we go. It's because his foot actually fits in there. Then we have his arm, which right now has some flash on it that will need to be cut. And then the scroll actually slots in like so. Yeah, this stuff is very crisp. Yeah, he's very cool. My favorite thing about him is he just makes, one of the factions that scares me the most in Warcrow is the Seanan, and largely because they can so easily just play such a tricksy game where like half or more of their force is ambushing or aggressively scouting, things like that. And this guy is just like, oh, I'm in the company. If you deploy via scout or ambush outside your deployment zone, you just become disarmed, which for units like the shadows the U, who just kind of teleport in usually and double stress and then just murder a unit. Being disarmed doesn't let you do that. One, you're going to lose a die at your opponent's choice, so lose some of those nasty switches probably. But also you don't get to do the stress to get bonuses. So I need to get better at cleaning these models on camera instead of taking them off camera to do that. But this one, there was a bit of flash at the bottom, so we'll just do a quick sand. Get that little nub off of his arm. Okay. Let me just quickly make sure that fits nicely now. Probably like that. I'm actually just going to take a little bit more off just because I'd rather it be a bit shorter. There's enough plug, even if I grind it down a bit. But that'll make it fit a bit tighter. Just clean there a bit. His paper scroll things are very cool, and they're cleaned. No flash there. Okay, let's try that dry fit again. I think when I'm going to do it, his staff almost touches his armor. Actually, the way I'm painting it doesn't matter if it does. So there's that. And then, of course, his unfolding copy of the master plan. Just that's what I assume this is meant to be, or maybe some notes he took for whatever battle he's showing up at. There. And now let's dry fit this. Fits nicely. Put Roderick's tactical platform book stand. We'll call it a tactical book stand. How about that? Okay, so his foot actually will go onto the platform. So let's. Didn't want to put both his feet wet, but there. Okay, so let's just put him like so. Can put a bit of super glue on there. Oh, no, there we go. Stay book. His hand's pretty much touching it. So the tricky thing, yeah, so far we have, of the 4 models we've now assembled, 3 of them have tactical something. So we're going to say Roderick has a tactical book stand. It helps hold his book. Oh, I almost forgot his arm. He needs his pointing stick. So there's Roderick. Nice and crisp. So yeah, he has a tactical book stand. The Keeper of the Sacred Fire has a classic tactical rock. Folder has no tactical anything. And Olga has also tactical rock. So all these tactical rocks was part of why I wanted to do the lava scheme, because I'm already going to be adding kind of rocks to the bases, so it'll blend in. It also blends in with Ishmael, who I am painting up in a similar scheme. He's going to have more lava probably on their base, because he's going to have a giant sea of lava, but similar thing. Also, height comparison. Olga versus Ishmael. Yeah. Seems about right height comparison-wise. Okay, so that is all the characters. Do we do Raiders or Militia next? Bueller. Okay, no answer. We're doing Raiders because they're 2 models. Okay. So here is the more stationary Raider. Dry fit, fits nicely. Dry fit, fits nicely. Oh, there's a bit of wobble there. Sticks out a bit. There we go. Okay, let's quickly do some flash checks. So some flash on the foot. Which if you're going to have flash anywhere, guys, there's his 3rd axe on the back. For those that haven't read the lore of these guys, it's pretty cool. So they have kind of like springy propulsion boots, powered servo propulsion boots, which is why they can like jump super far. And then on top of that, they have their cool axes, and they chuck their axes. And if anyone's playing D&D, they are returning axes. So they're magical axes that once they throw them, they teleport back to them. But here, like you can see all the servos on the boots to help them be able to jump in spring. So he looks pretty good, nice and clean. And then we have his axes. All looks pretty good and clean. The only thing is there's a bit of, oh, that was just powder. Annoyingly, a piece of flash on the blade of the axe itself, which is, we need to be careful cutting it off because we want to make it nice and smooth. Try and turn it down. Okay. I'm kind of nervous to try and get that with that. So what we're going to do is just going to carefully sand it down. Make it nice and smooth with the axe. Keep that nice blade of the axe. Don't want to just smooth it out. Okay, so that's one side looks pretty good. That's definitely the most annoying. Oh, actually noticing there's actually I'm just gonna scrape a bit. There we go. I'm actually noticing right now that there is actually a bend in the axe. Let's see, does the other one have the same bend? No, the other one is, from what I can tell, nice and straight. So, gonna grab the heat gun again. Try and do this without accidentally unplugging the camera. So this one's gonna be a bit tougher because it's a smaller area. And we don't want to make it so brittle that it's going to snap, so. And of course I drop it. Oh, yeah. Made it very wobbly. Holding it so that it's straight. Still has a bit of heat to it. There we go. And just keep it dunked in the water for a bit. There. That's straighter. There we go. This way there's a bit of a bend to it, but I think that's fine. It's a boomerang axe anyways, so, you know, works for me. Keep unplugging the heat gun just because it scares me. Okay, now did I lose the camera again? No, good, perfect. Okay, so one axe blade clean, now we just have the other one. Annoyingly, he decided to put that in the worst possible place again. So cut it off. we go. We need to go quick sanding stick. Reestablish that nice sharp blade. Is it still called a blade on an axe, or is it like an axe face? I'm not sure. Anyone know? There, good and polished. Okay. Quick assembly. Go. Super glue there. And then the arm slots in perfectly, like so. Let's put some little dot super glue there. Then find the way the arm wants to align. Bam, one. Oh yeah, Unicule sands significantly better. It doesn't do that pilling that Seocast does. It just kind of comes off. Like, realistically, sometimes you can just kind of scratch it with your nail. Usually the flash, a lot of the times if there is any flash, the models are usually pretty clean. Like, the only thing I had to do was cut off where the plugs are. But yeah, no, it sands super nice, because like there, you can see there's not any of that pilling or anything like that. And all I did was quickly give it a nice sand, and then in some places just a scrape there like that. So yeah, no, it cleans better and significantly faster. So we did one raider, so let's finish off the unit. Here, he can hang out over here up at the top of the screen while we pull out his buddy. Let's hope his axes are straight. Let's quickly check that now. Another slight bend. Let's see if I can just manually... Nope, that's not going to want to do it manually. That also has a bit of a bend, so... We're going to quickly bring our water back out. Maybe I should just quickly... Let me just pull... No, I don't want to mix up things. So, we're not going to pull out all the other axes. I'm just going to leave the heat gun plugged in so we can do it faster. Okay, so this one has a bit of a bend. Bend out. You don't need to use a heat gun. I just do because otherwise I need to hold something in hot water, and I'm a baby about that. You can also just use tweezers to not need to hold it in with your hand, but realistically I should do that for using the heat gun too, but where's the bend here? There. Or just slightly. Nope. Did I just make it worse? I just made it worse. Good enough. There we go. Okay. While those, just leave the axis for a second. And let's look at this guy. I like this guy. Just cut off the bottom of foot nub. But a lot of the times, the only places to clean up on Unicule is like where there's a big nub for you to cut off. So one, it's easier to find, you know, it's pretty quick to find where needs actual cleaning, and usually it's, you know, the cleaner you can make that initial cut, the the less you need to do cleaning wise. There he is, nice and crisp. Okay. This one is my favorite place for there to be a nub to cut, which is the connection point, because it doesn't even need to be super clean, because as long as the connection point is then sanded enough that you can fit it in. And this is the right shoulder. How does this go? There. He's throwing it there. And you can't even tell. Nice and easy. Much better than the axe face, like the other guy. Speaking of the axe face, and we have another one like that. So, but it looks like it's even more so. One, it's on the side, which makes it better, but it's also near the top, which is kind of annoying. So let's try using the blade first. I do find sometimes, like, when there is flash on Uniqlo, it comes off. It almost feels like it's weaker than the other areas, probably because it's not meant to be there. And your nose, so let's just sand along the edge. Smooth that out. There we go. Nice and done. Okay. Quick assault. Let's always double check that it will fit nicely before we assemble. It should. Yeah, there we go. Cool. I always like doing on the outy bit. And of course I then stick it to the outside. There we go. Just jamming it in there as I glue my fingers together. And the throwing arm. Oop. Let's get it actually stuck. There we go. Just wait a second. Yes, all models in the action pack are, and I was told all the models in the bundle, so the Hearth Guard also should be, but we haven't opened them yet, so I haven't 100% confirmed that, but that's what we were told. I've heard other creators say that, so my money is that they are, in the War Augurs as well. So yeah, everything is Unicool, so that's why I'm easily gonna say that I'll build them all during this stream, because I've been distracted and talking, and it hasn't been an hour, and there we go. There is the Raiders. So for anyone joining, we have Olga. We have the Folder and the Bear. Keeper of the Sacred Fire. Rodri. So the only thing left in the action pack to assemble is the Mounthaven Militia. Which, aren't they lucky that their line infantry that you might actually want to have 2 or 3 of are Unicool, unlike everyone else's. So here's the first guy. Here is the sergeant, or group leader. That's bothering me. 1 second. Oh. There we go, sergeant. The first gal. And the second one. I was having this discussion the other day of, every... Okay, so let's... First, I just want to quickly check. So the axe, this direction is pretty good. This direction... I was going to say it's a slight curve, but this is actually flash, so I think that axe looks straight enough. Not worth messing with it with the heat gun. This axe has a bit of a curve to it that I don't like. So we're going to fix that one. This axe, another shorter axe, looks good to me. And hers also looks good. I do like that they each have different axes, because it makes sense. They're militia. They're kind of just given, you know, lore-wise, they're given kind of like the less good weapons, which makes sense, because they're not your warrior class. Why is this not? Interesting. I just put in with the heat gun. Dunk it in the water. There. Much straighter. Again, there's a little... Oh, actually, the nub on the bottom of this one, I think, is actually meant to be there. Looks cleaner, and it is kind of tapers. So, let's start by building the sergeant, or group leader. Here's the guy I just did. So, all of them come in 3 bits, which is nice. We have the shield arm, which somehow there. So like so. So that's looking good. This one's not going to fit because that's where the flash is. So again, 1 flash per. So 1 on the tactical rock and or tactical pile of dirt. Quickly sand it down. You can always also check to see if there's a bit of bend in their legs. One nice thing about the dwarves, I'm not seeing any of that, probably because they have such short little legs. It's not much to be bent out of shape. The shield has the flash for this guy. Oh, I should have cut that at more of an angle, because the shield kind of tapers. Scrape that down. There we go. I'm going to smooth it out quickly with a just nice quick stick. These are the sticks I use for doing Seocast, but they work much. Everything works much better on Unicool. So that arm looks good. And finally, just need to clip this off. Give it a quick sand just so the connection point is nice and clear of any flash. Do a quick little dry fits. Oh, see, there's a bit of this kind of like hair, like little tiny bit of excess material, and you literally just rub it with the knife and it just goes away. So there we go. There's his pointing arm. That's how you know he's in charge. And then boom, boom, something like that. Cool. Quickly glue it. So I know my plan, at least when I'm first playing ballists, it's really to just do, well, after doing, I think I'll try and do the campaign. I think my plan is to, just until we get more stuff, probably run Olga over the hammer. And just because I think of our characters, right now we have 4 characters that can attach, which means with our 3 units, one person's going to need to be going it alone, and of all of our characters, I think Olga's the best for going alone. You're losing out on that plus morale, but she actually gets stuff alone that she doesn't get in a unit. The only other attached character that you could say that for really is Rodri, but his separate ability is good, but I don't know if I really care to have him running around on his own. Olga can actually be quite a nice hitter. The Keeper of the Secret Fire also can be on his own and do a different thing, but I think he really wants to be in a unit, giving that plus wound. The idea of a 4-man unit that's made of 4 wound guys. Oh, and there's the leader. A cool little backpack, similar to the Pioneer's backpack with the pickaxes and stuff. So, got the next guy. Grab the flash off him. One fun thing with the Unicool, because there's always the one, exit flash or whatever it's called, the pour point. If you don't see one, and you have something that you're like, is that flash? Like, for example, this axe. It's like, okay, what's the flash? Is this flash at the bottom? It's like, well, there's no other flash on it, so if there's only one thing that looks like it could be flash, and you aren't sure, that's probably the flash. So we'll just cut it off. Polish the end of the axe a bit. There we go. Polish this nub, the connection point, a bit. Let's grab the knife off to clean this foot a bit. Didn't get it as close. There we go. Just gonna scrape the bottom and give it a good scan. There we go. Smooth it out just so it connects better to the base. Another tactical rock. So Militia are now 2 for 2. I don't think the other 2 don't have it, so half the Militia have tactical rocks. I'm just going to wait to glue him until I'm done the other 3. We're going to put him off there, bring the next person in. So here we go. She has, ooh, look at this nice big chunk on the bottom. Nice big chunk. Nice and smooth. Again, luckily, nothing on the axes themselves. That was just 3 of the Raiders' axes. And then kind of angle it to go with the rest of the shield. There we go. Clean these up. Use a knife, nice and quick. And nice polish almost. There we go. Give this one a nice go. Okay. So now she is clean. Let's just do a quick dry fit of, let's call this one Jenny, because we have a friend that has the exact same haircut named Jenny, so call her Jenny. And the axe kind of slots in. Good. Everything is nice and tight and clean. One more down. I don't think I actually tested with this guy. Let's double check. Okay, so that's interesting so far. Is it true? Before I say something, let me check the other model. Okay, there we go. It does fit nicely. No. So one of the models, one of the dwarves is left-handed, so that's something. There you go. Left-handed people, left-handed dwarves exist. very small bit of flash on the bottom of the shield there. Okay. I think, yeah, so I was saying, so I'll probably start trying Olga by herself. I want to put the Keeper of the Sacred Fire into the Hearth Guard, because I think that works very nicely. Oh, this one just has a bit of sanding right here. And then and then the question is whether Rodri goes into the Raiders or if Rodri goes into the Militia. I'm back and forth. I think the Raiders getting the... Oh, okay, I see. So there's a bit of her braid attached to her arm. And it would help if I put it on the right side. There we go. There we go. And... yep, there we go. Cool. Start with the assembly. I'm very excited to see how people assemble. Sorry, not assemble. Assembly is not very creative. I'm excited to see how people paint their Mounthaven. How many people go for the yellow and the kind of blue, or if what people will do. I know I've already seen some people either planning or some creators that have gotten it early, like myself, actually doing like more metallic for the armor, either doing like a true metallic metal for the armor, which has looked pretty cool. You're going for like a brass or even a gold, which has been pretty sweet. And there she is. They are very short. When put beside other Warcrow models, they truly do feel like dwarves. I feel like the Pioneers feel that way, but like because there's only 2 of them, I don't know if you notice as much. And also they have a bunch of stuff on, but like especially these Militia are just feeling squat, which is good. They are the dwarves. The dwarves of Mounthaven. Okay. Unlike those, traitorous dwarves from Embersig. They're traitors, right? We consider them traitors. Okay. And the final militiaman. If these were CO cast, if I had started with the militiaman, I'd probably be about done now. Which, not to harp on it, but yeah, I am very glad that these are not. I wouldn't probably do a real-time live stream of cleaning and assembling COcast. I would have cleaned them all up and be like, here guys, let's put them together. There we go. Okay. So, and there we have it. These are the Mounthaven Militia, all assembled. Flip them over for you. Oop. There you go. So, there we go. There we have it. Action pack models all assembled. We have the Mounthaven Militia, the Raiders, Keeper of the Secret Fire, Rodri, Olga, and the folder. So that is the action pack. Let's move on to the next box and open something else up. I'll put them on their bases and do that after. Okay, what do we have next? You know what? He jumped into my hand first. Let's do Rodrigo the War Augur. So this is the generic profile for Rodri, generic model. Nice clean packaging. This is a limited edition model, so if you want it, get it as part of the bundle, because it's not going to be a regular release. I'm sure at some point might get it. Maybe we will, maybe we won't, because you can always use Rodri, but because you can bring both of them, it's handy to just have a different model for each of them. I'm glad they did it this way. It's like this is a Gian for Feudum. Unlike, the Grand Captain with the CNN, like, that's nice that you have an actual Grand Captain model, but at the same time, you can never field Leoslaith and a Grand Captain, so it's less useful. Whereas you could, for example, bring Alula and whatever. Okay, so let's see. So there is a bit of a bend in the feather, but I don't know if that's intended or not. I'm just going to keep it because it's a feather. Great model. So you have two choices. I'm going to bring him right up. Let me just refocus on him. The glasses are hollow. There is, if you look very carefully, it looks like there actually are eyes behind the glasses. I'm not sure. I'm going to paint the glasses as not just being like goggles. I'll see how adventurous I feel. But here's the model nice and up close. Actually, maybe I'll do that for the other models that I've assembled too. Here, while we're at it, so here's, there's the Militia leader. Leave my hand up there so it's easier. The other male militiaman. The female militiaman. Ooh. And the final militiaman. Here we go. Olga. Once I have them on bases, it'll be easier to do this, I realize. The Keeper of the Sacred Fire with his bellow pick. The Folder with the Happy Bear and the Origami Bear. Rodri. Ooh. Oh, actually, getting this close actually shows me that there is just. See, I just need to kind of push it with the knife, and there it goes. I don't know if that was blowable off or what, but let's clean up in there. Okay. Okay, but that was Rodri, and then let's see if I can do two at once. Oh, there we go. The Raiders with their extra axes on their back. Cool. Okay, so let me just quickly get the camera back in focus for down there. Cool. Okay, so there he is. Got his book, which has a long peg, which needs to come off. Okay. And then his pour points seem to be both feet, so quickly just do that. Yeah, they did. They mixed it up. There's not a lot of repeated hairstyles. Definitely not in a given unit. I think one of the militia and one of the raiders have like that kind of like half head shaven thing. But yeah, they have the mutton chops. They have you know, the braided hair. They have the mostly shaven hair. You know, the folder has her fake beard, I call it, where she has her her braided hair kind of like draped around her neck, so it's kind of draped around, almost looking like a beard, which is fun. One of the militiamen, I think I was saying, one of them is left-handed, one of the rest are right. So there is, you know, they aren't miraculously all right-handed. There's at least, you know, one left-handed model in there, which is nice. It also means that, like, if you're going to do conversions, it can be good. You actually have a left-handed axe. Thinking about, like, for the second unit, you probably, with not too much effort, can probably just adjust how they're posed with their weapons. Let's see this guy. So he kind of... Oh, no, book goes like so. Just rests in there, and let's check the fit. Fit looks good. Just put ever so slight bit of super glue. My bunny's wondering why I'm talking to other people and not her, and is licking my feet right now, which is ticklish. Okay, just stay in there. Get in there. Oh, this one just stick. It's kind of awkward positioned. Like, it goes together nicely. It's just kind of getting the angle to push. But there we go. There is the limited edition War Augur. And bring him in close. There he is. Quill and book. It's a big old nerd. He also has kind of braided beard. No hair on top, all in front. So that's fun. Bring the table back into focus. Okay. So now all we have left is the fourth and final part of the bundle, which is the Mounthaven Hearth Guard. Do you want to say hi, or are you just trying to bug me? No, you're just trying to bug me. My bunny doesn't want to say hi. She runs back over that way. She might get in camera. She's confused because it's her dinner time, but she was bugging me a bit earlier, so I fed her a little bit early. But so Hearth Guard, also known as the people that you know, the bulwarks thought they had big shields, but comparatively they only have little tiny baby shields. If my bulwarks weren't packed away in a hard to reach place, I would get them. But okay, so the War Augur box doesn't come with a card, but here we go. Here are the Hearth Guard. Card have a bit of a sheen to them, but the camera's not picking it up, which is actually nice. To my eye, it's very sheeny, but no, there you got a bit in the camera. Fun. Cool. But yeah, there we go. There's the Hearth Guard. Very cool. Nice cards. It's on the thinner side. I'm just going to add it to the pile. I'll re-sleeve them in a bit. Might try to see how they look in the WTS pack sleeves. WTS pack sleeves aren't sized properly, but we'll see how they look. If not, I have normal matte cards, which are good for if they're on camera. So, okay, here we go. 4 bases, and as promised, it looks like they are all Unicool. So that is awesome. So, let's take it. It's interesting, actually. So I think they are all Unicool, but look at the first one. The shields almost look like it's definitely still Unicool. It doesn't feel like Seocast. Oh, look there. There's the flash for this one, just in the bottom of the shield. So that's nice. But interestingly, the shield and the guy must do a slightly different formula, because look, they're different color. This guy's more the Unicool blue. This is more like a gray blue. I wonder if it's a slightly different, more brittle formula. Actually, the arm is also the same, so that's interesting. Very interesting. But okay, let's start quickly sanding and assembling. These guys look like their flash was actually almost already removed. Those parts are done. And where is it? Oh, there it is. On top of his head. Let's just carefully cut that down a bit. Luckily, his head is flat, so let's sand it quickly. Wipe off the excess. Is his hat bent? Do we need to warm it up? No, they're not tarot, so the Warcrow cards are Dixit sized. I want to say it's like 180 by something. I can't recall. Let me check quickly. Dixit card sleeves. 80 millimeter by 120 millimeter. So that's what Dixit size is. It's kind of like it's bigger than tarot. It's like a wider size than tarot. I think it's wider but shorter maybe. So yeah, you want to look for Dixit sleeves. Most places you can find it pretty readily online. They aren't necessarily the most common if you have a card shop that doesn't necessarily stock a ton, because I don't think really card games use them. Like, they're called Dixit because of a board game called Dixit. If you haven't played it, it's a great game. Okay, so there we go. And fits together nicely. There we go. I'm just going to put him up here for now as we clean the others. We'll assemble them and do a nice little look at all of them together. Also, man, look at that. Look at that guy's braids. There's 1, 2, and then the beard braid too, with his beard armor. You need the armor to protect the beard. So this is the one I think is the sergeant or the group leader, because she's holding it out. Also, tactical platform for her shield, so that's cool. And yeah, cool. Let's do the quick cleaning. This one actually looks like it might have flash in 2 places. We got on the axe up here. Make sure I didn't miss anything there. No, that looks good. Cool. And then there's a bit on there. Just quickly sand that off. Make sure he's clustered there. So I don't want to mix up pieces. Not that it will be hard to figure them out, but just in case. Okay. Oh no, there's a bit more flash on top of the axe there. Okay. Shield. Oh, here it is. Let's cut it down. Yes, I'm cutting into my finger, but yes, this blade is also not the sharpest tool in the shed, you know. Okay. There. Not there. Oh. Once again, top of the head. Top of the head seems to be the go-to place for getting these guys. So they're filled from the top down. Or they're filled upside down, because I don't know. It's probably injected molded, so I don't know. I don't know how the manufacturing for Unicool works. But either way, that's the fill point. So boom, boom, and boom. Oh, we didn't check axe for bend. That looks straight enough to me. What about you? Short and stubby. Looks good enough to me. Good. Okay, 2 more. And then we'll do the basing fun, which isn't really, but isn't really specific to these guys. But okay, quick axe check. Axe is good. I found the cleaning point. Oh, actually it's not. That just happens to be Oh, so here's what I mean. So sometimes, do you see on this, kind of get like this fuzzy, thin plastic. But like realistically, if you just take a knife and just do that, it just kind of... Oh. Well, that's the injection point, so that needs actual work. 1 second. There we go. But the rest of it, well, actually, no, that was the injection point too. Cool. So, but if you see, you can just... kind of scrape in there, and kind of just goes away. Just kind of lightly touch it, and it falls off there. Let me just quickly look. I'm not holding it for the camera so I can see it a bit better. Just refocus. Oh, sorry for anyone watching that just got motion sick. Make sure it's nice and clean. It's the most annoying cleaning part we've had for the 15 models. We're almost at 15. This is model 14. Okay, just get it in there. So that is hollowed out. Okay, let's quickly finish cleaning this bit. Oh, that's actually a full cuttable nub. 1 second. Nub on a nub. And we have the part at the bottom there on the shield. It's really nice when it's on the bottom because realistically, again, clean it best you can, but if there's slight imperfection, it's literally going to be connected to the base, so won't really matter. And they like having these guys. I bet you it's on all 4. Whoever was doing the planning was like, nope, the best point for filling is the head. So just do that. Knives rolling around is always super safe. Now, is there supposed to be a slight indent on the top? I don't know. They might be, kind of, but... I think these guys all are left-handed. They're more... They're sorry, right-handed. They're pickier, I guess. They only pick right-handed people for the Hearth Guard. Am I bleeding somewhere? What is that? Red bit on them. Just looking at her. That looks... One more, then we assemble them, then we switch to some basing. So, yeah, I'm expecting a bunch of people. Once again, axis straight, but again, we have that kind of stuff. Again, it's not like it's not a real hassle to clean. It's just a slight extra step to go around. Make sure. Sometimes you flick it off one place and it just kind of sticks by like static to the other place. So you blow on it occasionally. Just there we go. That part's clean. Where I just saw the connection point. There it is, yeah. On the arm again. Sorry, I'm just focused. I'm not talking very much, like a good streamer. Right, that's what people like. Okay, there we go. What are anyone that is planning on grabbing these guys or is tempted to? What's your plan for painting them? Are you gonna go for the basic or the the standard studio scheme, or what? What is your plan? You want to make sure these grooves are actually cleaned out, because otherwise they will disappear when I prime them. There we go. Just help get it out. Okay. Bearded armor. One thing I am enjoying is on these units, the fill points all seem to be fairly consistent. Right? Like all these guys had fill point on their head, fill point on the bottom of the shield, so you know where to clean, and then on the arm joint. So this has been pretty consistent and wear. It's not like I'm needing to like really search over the model looking for the point that needs trimming, and nope, cleaning. There we go. Make sure it's nice and clean, nice and clean, nice and clean. Okay, let me just do a quick list. Yeah, you're good. Oh. There's a little bit on the front there. Let's double check these shields. I didn't look at them that closely. That's good. Looks like a shield. Okay. Fit check. Good. And good. Okay, let's get these Hearth Guard assembled. Unicool is great. Yeah, if you haven't built any of the Unicool stuff yet, it assembles super nicely. They come significantly cleaner. Like, there's not a ton of mold lines or anything like that. And then usually the main places that need to be cleaned are just like where the injection port is, where there's usually a fairly large nub that can just be clipped off, and then you can easily just sand or scrape any excess little bit off, and it doesn't do the pilling or anything of CO cast. So like, we'll have assembled these 15 models in about an hour, and that's with me kind of getting distracted. The only thing to keep note of is sometimes, like especially on like spears or standards, things like that, there might be a bit of a bend, but you can fix that pretty easily with just like a bowl of hot water and a bowl of cold water. You just put it in the hot water, the part that needs to bend in the hot water, it gets kind of bendy fairly quickly. And then you can just, once you bend it into position, you just put it in the cold water. Yeah, no, the models themselves just look crisp right off the bat, which is really good if you are looking to do like really accentuate the the fine details, which, since I'm doing an OSL focused scheme for these guys, is the plan. Like very, the colors are just the OSL type of thing. The more sharp edges, the better, because it's more fun things for me to let the light catch on to really, define the model. Actually, 1 second. Does this guy's hat? 1 second. There is a bit of a thing on the head there. was a bit of a line on her head there that I'd missed. Let me just quickly make sure. The other guys also didn't as well.
Oh, you're trying to get me to give you food.
But yeah, I'm just quickly cleaning up because I noticed some of them have a bit of a line down the large hats. That I'd missed the first time, but otherwise very, very easy to clean. Probably taking the most on these guys, and it's just because they have a couple, not issues, but just a few more mold lines. And also their hats just keep catching all the sanded bits, and I need to boop, dunk them a bit and wipe it off. Yeah. Yeah, one of the reasons I wanted to do the stream is in case, there's a lot of people that have been waiting for, dwarves to get in and have, been hearing how difficult sometimes building some of this stuff has been. So it's nice to be able to be like, no, this is all Sealcast. Here, look at the stream, how quick and easy it is. Yeah, it can be more brittle. That's one of the reasons, like, you definitely want to do the heat trick when you're, if you're trying to bend something into place, not just trying to force it, because one, it won't stay, two, you might just snap it. The nice thing is I do find with the Unicool that if something were to go, if something does go wrong and it snaps, and she's the sergeant, you can tell because she has the, I can't remember what they're called, they're like Japanese paper like things that they put on shrines. If something does break, usually it's a clean break at least. Like if God forbid you drop something, it snaps, and were to snap not at a connection point, usually it's a clean enough break that you can just kind of glue it back together nicely, as long as a piece doesn't go flying under a table or something and get lost. But hopefully that doesn't happen. Okay, and the last one, and then I'll hold these guys up closer and then grab the cork to do our basing for these guys. Yeah, it doesn't shatter into a million pieces. It just kind of breaks usually in one place, and then you just kind of glue it. Even I've had one, oh no, hand slip. I've had models break, painted models break, which usually is a big issue because it's like, now I need to repaint it. But I find that usually it breaks clean enough that I just put a bit of super glue so that it doesn't overflow the connection point that broke or whatever, or this piece, and it lines up usually so cleanly that I hardly even need to paint it or touch it up. You can almost not notice it. Shide, is that how you pronounce that? Shide or shade? Shide. There we go. Shide. That's it. Thank you. The streamers on her shoot thing and on Roderick's staff. I'm gonna call them Shide because the dwarven, a lot of the dwarven aesthetic is very Japanese inspired. So here, let's look at the models a bit closer. So here's the first guy. Again, look, those shields are Shidi. Yeah. The shields are the size of the dwarf. Shide. Okay. Thank you. All the braided hair and the braided beard. Here's the leader. With the Shide. Still nice braid. Different types of braid. That must be a lot of work. First you do the little braids and then the more larger braids. The other female Hearth Guard. Again, different hair. She's got a bun and double braid. These dwarves spend a lot of time on their hair apparently in the final. This is the artwork guy. I like how they have like the covering. The guys have the beard plate. Help better protect their beards. And even though the sun's not out inside the hearth, the sun's out somewhere, so the guns are out. Okay, so let's go quick my camera off. I'm going to grab some cork, and then we're going to do the bases. Okay, there we go. Got some sheet of cork, which is just a nice easy way for doing some lava bases. And the idea is you layer up cork so it can kind of look rocky, volcanic-y. That's the part they're going to stand on that's not lava. And then the otherwise flat area of the base around them will be what is painted as lava. And you don't need to worry about building up texture there because it's lava. You kind of just paint on the movement and texture of the lava. And then we'll just have it so that there's a nice glow coming from below, lighting them. So for this, we're going to want to make sure that the models have, you know, appropriate rock for given their feet. So we're going to need to kind of do this model by model. I'm just going to bend this. It's a rolled one. I have flat one, but I want to use my rolled one first. Doesn't really matter once you start breaking it up. So let's do that. Let's start with Olga. So Olga already has a chunk of rock, but that would be a lot of lava to just have it like that. So I think what I'll do is kind of work her rock into the other piece of rock. So we're going to take this, just kind of go like that. And part of what I'm going to think is where I want the under fire to be coming. So where I want the below OSL to come from. And I'm thinking that you really want it hitting from below in the front and maybe a little bit in the back. So I kind of make it a little like almost peninsula, like so. It's kind of sticking out where there will be lava on both sides. Did I already rip this too thin? Possibly, but let me see it. It's hard to gauge. Okay, so if I do that, if I do her like so, that looks so. There's a bit of overhang, but rock can overhang rock, so let's just do that. So sometimes cork can be annoying to actually get to stick. You're going to need to use more super glue. You can use other glues, but I want to use super glue, so we're just going to do like so. Let's really stick it in. Sometimes the first go doesn't work. You add more super glue, and the layer of super glue on the cork is now working off. Okay. So until the super glue is coated in a layer of paint, it can crumble off quite easy. Just gonna clean up around the edge here just a bit. You really do need to cut it, not just push it, because it will flake. So that's that. Still a bit kind of going, just kind of lifting up a bit. Nice thing is, again, you can kind of just shove some super glue underneath there. Try not to get your fingers stuck, and there you go. So once the stuff actually gets super glued, it also becomes less brittle, less flaky. So do that, and we'll just stick Olga herself to it. Try to angle it so that she's not hanging over too much, or in a way that doesn't look good. There. The nice thing is, with the extra build-up, now she is almost the same height as a person. Almost, not quite, but she is almost the height of a person now. She is a celebrity, though, and by the rules of the Muppets, celebrities are not people. Okay, let's do folder next. So, again, thinking about how we're going to have this model lit. I think we're probably going to want the light from in front. I'm thinking more from the left of her because there's going to be some opposing OSL from this bear. So, let's pick a base from her. And we're going to want, I think we're going to want this base to be a lot more, most of it cork. So, that's probably good. Like so. So, you can also do multiple layers of cork, kind of build it up more. I'm thinking I probably won't so much, at least for her. I think one can be a lot. I don't want to build the height of the bases too much. So I mean the cork just absorbed the super glue there. So let's do this. The idea is you kind of just rub it around a bit. Have some different and interesting shapes of the lava. So like I'll probably have, there's a bit of an overhang there, some lava there, but I'll just paint it in a way that really you aren't going to have the high OSL there. I'll just make it look like it's being caught by the other part. And we have another part of it that didn't quite get enough super glue and is lifting up. So we just shove some of that super glue underneath there, like so. And squeeze it in. The thing is also a little bit of super glue will literally just fill gaps. There are just little gaps and things, so helps clean all that up. Okay. Now, if you're really worried about the models falling off, if you're doing the cork, you might want to pin them. Sometimes, like a model will rip off a chunk of cork with them before anything else, and it will trim it a bit so it's more with the shape of the base. And then when it's painted, you know, it doesn't look like that's the edge of a rock, it's that the rock continues. There we go. Not going to get it perfect, but pretty close. As much as the cork will allow. Yeah, so my plan is to come back later in the week, do another stream, maybe on the weekend, where I'm actually painting. So as we said, we want the lava coming from not the side of the bear, so we're going to put her on the base so that that's the side closest to the flat section, because that's where the lava will be. You know, she's probably going to be the least steady model because her connection is in some ways the least, it's the smallest. She has the smallest connection area. In fact, I think it's just her front foot. She's kind of balancing literally just on her front foot. Yeah, you can see how some of the cork. Her I probably should take the time to pin. But I find that sometimes just applying more super glue works best. Oh, she did her. No, I'm just gonna. There. It's a bit. She has her toe up, which is interesting. I'm used to flat feet, but she does seem to be in movement because I don't think the connection point is meant to just be her toe. But let's see if I can get her to actually want to stay on her rock. This is your home now, folder. You too good for your home? Come on. No, she doesn't want to. Okay, 1 second. Am I going to need to pin you? Can we avoid that? Because that takes more effort right now than I want to do. I want some quick and easy basing. The goal being that quick and easy basing, quick easy assembly, and then a quick and easy but good looking paint scheme. Get these guys ready on the table, nice and painted as fast as possible. My scions are almost done being painted. They take a little bit more time. My Ember Sig, the one unit I painted, definitely took the longest. I think of that scheme takes longer than the Scion scheme. So I want the Mounthaven scheme to be one that I can quickly have a good looking army and unique looking army on the battlefield. So I think if I don't keep playing with her, I have gotten connection. If you have like super glue activator, it probably makes it work better and faster. Okay, next, a Keeper of the Sacred Fire. He also has a tactical rock, but we're just going to build it up. That's not going to be only because he can't, because otherwise his foot. Where do we want his light to come from? Again, I think he has the fire on the top right of his own. He has his own little fire that he is the keeper of. He's not keeping it very secret, though, because it's just so out in the open. But let's put it maybe front left. Let's just kind of rip this piece a bit. Sometimes we might over rip, and then we'll need to go back and fix. What's more interesting? That's a more interesting look like so. So if we do something like this. Yeah, kind of like that. Okay. So let's get the glue on. Healthy amount of super glue. And we really want to make it so you're rubbing it all around, so the whole piece of cork, any part that's touching, has had super glue. And see, it has a bit of an interesting, it's not just, flat rock then fire, but we're still keeping, the goal being, again, for the most part, we're trying to keep the illumination to come from a single side or point, as opposed to being completely surrounding the model, just because then the OSL effect, 1, looks messier, but 2, it's harder to do. When you are trimming the cork, you don't saw back and forth, you always are pulling down, because the goal is to have the cork stay on the base, so you want to really pull it in a downward motion like this. There. So that one stuck very nicely. And we're going to have him kind of standing like so. So the fire is coming from the lava illumination is coming from that side. Put some super glue on the bottom. Anyone else that is getting the Mounthaven, what are people thinking about in terms of the basing? Are you doing something mountainy? Are you going to have them, are the rest of your armies in a green field and you're just going to have them do that? I'm curious what other people are thinking. So, boom. There. Quick and assembled. Quick and based. Let's get some more. This guy might do a little bit more on his base. He's really can be, the goal can come from anywhere. Kind of want some of the fire catching under the book. Let's just kind of keep it maybe in the straight front of him. Like in there. I think what I might do I have any pieces that are higher? So that kind of fits. Cool. Since he's kind of, this strategist kind of looking over the battlefield, I'm going to actually build his up as multi-layered. Nope, I need a bigger piece than that. going to do that, that, perfect. So again, this guy's, it's a cool model, you know, just it's a very fluffy model, but you know, he's not particularly dynamic, right? There's not a lot going on with the model itself. So in those cases, you can, you know, it's a good time to maybe put a bit more on his base, especially because he's a character, right? If a unit guy is not doing a lot on his model, whatever, it's not a big deal. But this guy is a character, he is an officer. So we'll just give him a bit more interest. And they're dwarves. He's not going to get too tall by having a base like that. There we go. Again, I think we're going to keep the more rounded edge that side. Sticking cork to cork can be a bit of annoyance. You just really need to make enough super glue that it absorbs and then stays after. Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, the official bases do look pretty cool. I always just like making my own bases just because, one, saves a bit of money, but also, for me, it's also a bit of a, I don't know, I like being able to, if I need to quickly throw a base together, not need to worry about it. But yeah, the dwarf bases are really cool. I also had this idea for lava. Yeah, cork bases are just, if you haven't tried them before, it's very easy. One thing, like right now, the cork actually feels really warm. Cork, like a lot of materials, reacts weird with super glue where it actually becomes very hot. So be careful that you don't get super glue. Don't super glue cork to yourself, because you can actually like get a burn. Not like a severe burn, but it'll definitely be uncomfortable. So let's just jam him down onto there. Let's really push these feet in. Nice thing is the cork itself pushes, so it's nice. Not sure what color you're going to go for. Do you have any ideas? Have you been thinking about anything? But there. And there we go. There is the War Augur. So the lava will be coming from this side. So he'll be illuminated from front. The back will have less illumination. Just maybe a bit of some blue shading. Okay. So we seem to be going through the characters first. Let's keep doing the characters first. My bunny is literally climbing my leg right now. Let me just... Hey, what are you doing? Am I not giving you enough attention? I don't want to super glue you to me, Coco. Okay. Now we have Rodri with his tactical platform. So I don't think his platform is in the lava. So again, I think we're going to... His base will probably have the least amount of lava, because we're probably going to need to do something like that. Now, this side, again, is the one glowing, so I think we want the lava on this side. So, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to just tear it, I'm just going to actually kind of pre-score it almost. And there we go. The problem is, he takes up most of the base with his thing. So I almost need to do some overhang with his, which I don't want to do, but we're going to do. The alternative is, what we could do is, I'm going to do something a bit different with him. I'm actually going to glue him to the cork first, so then I can kind of chip away at the cork using his platform as a bit of a template so that it fits perfectly. So we're going to stick it. We want the whole platform on the thing. Unlike Olga's rocks, his can't really overhang because it doesn't make sense. It seems to be some sort of platform built onto the rock. It's the least, fitting of being on just the lava flow, but maybe this is part of some sort of outpost, a dwarven outpost in the in the caves. I'm probably going to end up basing my red caps like this. My ones that I use with my normal guys, the gobblers, aren't, because I'm basing them to match my other scions, but when I get around to my other red caps, they'll probably be on a similar base, and then I can maybe even the same paint scheme, like that OSL fighting in the dark scheme, and then you can kind of have a nice narrative looking battle set up with the dwarves and the red caps, which makes sense because especially Olga likes fighting the red caps. Okay, so we have them on there. Now we need to actually attach them to a base, but if you see, we're not getting really any fire. So kind of almost want it like this. It's giving us a bit of a gap in the front. Enough to get some OSL on him. And again, it's not real. We don't need it to be perfectly realistic. So if it's like, wait, why is there that much? There shouldn't be that much light coming from that small gap of, small gap of lava that's exposed. But we'll just accept that things don't need to be 100% realistic. But yes, his base will have a bit of overhang. That's just the nature of it. Either I had to give up on the lava, or I had to give up and have him hanging over the base. So otherwise, the base came together really nicely. There he is, nice and based. 945. Okay. Let's get the Raiders next. Raiders, no tactical rocks, a lot more flexibility. I always like the fire coming from the front. That's going to be the main point of glow. Thinking this guy come up from underneath, get some cool, catch the fire on the underside of that axe. So he's going to be running along that way. That something like this, that'll work. Okay. Again, this has a bunch of overhang right now. That's fine. I'm going to shape it after. Really want to squeeze it down. There, I'll rip that chunk off early. Okay, once that's dried, we will clean it up and attach him. This other guy's more staunch. Maybe I'll do the opposite side, just because they're a team. One lit from one side, one lit from the other can kind of look cool. Although his is again, he's more straight across legged, so it might be hard. Because otherwise it'll be lit from behind. So no, he'll just be kind of from the front as well. So we're just going to do something like that. So I think you were saying, Falks, that you've been waiting for Mounthaven to get into Warcrow. Have you played any demo games, just using other factions, or have you just been avoiding playing the game at all up to this point? There, and he'll just kind of sit like so. He does have a tactical rock, but it's just another rock on the quirk. So this one's had more time to dry, so let's... I know I wasn't doing that before, but hey, we're doing units now, so we have time. Just clean that up a bit. I think of the armies for people to start with, now dwarves are probably going to be the easiest because they are 100% unicool, which at least at this point they're 100% unicool. I'm sure they'll get other releases, characters that aren't. That'd be my guess, but at least for now, they're all unicool, which means they're the most beginner friendly for assembly, which for a true beginner, like if this is your first time hobbying, that's extra important. So. Wanted to do a demo game, didn't get a chance. Okay, see, you wanted to get a demo, you just didn't get a chance to at the Krug. Just focusing on Infinity. Yeah, Infinity's a great game too. There's one of the raiders. I think the raiders don't have a clear leader. I'll probably have the guy throwing his axe be the leader because he's cooler. He's more in motion, which is more fun for me. So he will be the leader because I want him to stay on the battlefield the longest, and that's for models without a clear leader. That's how I would. That's how I choose at least. He's also the one more likely to fall off the base. What do you play in Infinity? What faction? Okay, don't like doing it that way because this might obscure some details. Hoping to try. I think they're doing 1 day focused on Warcrow this year for the Krug. That would be cool. What time of the when is the Krug? Where is the Krug? I'm trying to remember where the Krug is. I know it's in the States. I just can't remember where. There's him running along. So we'll have some nice lava going up under his arm there. There's some light of Moasel going under the arm there. Okay. Next, we have the Militia. Which way should the light? Should the light be coming from here? So it's catching the shield. Light from behind. Maybe light from behind would look cool. No, there's actually a bit of a tiny mold line there. Actually a slight misaligned. That's annoying. Anyone else? No, just him. Cool. I think I'm gonna do the lighting for him. I want the fire. I want the lava to be behind him. So I want him to. Let's see. If we go like so. It's more coming from behind. I like that. So let's do that. That's really like if you're ever trying to do this type of base, it's really just that. You just kind of grab some cork, kind of get a feel for where you want the light coming from on the model itself, and then kind of just wiggle the cork around to get you closest to that you can. Nope. Don't start wiggling it around too much that it's not sticking there. Okay, see, we'll go like so. There. Not quite as far from behind as I'd like, but I think that's the best we're going to get given his tactical rock. It makes it a bit harder. Okay, so we're just going to put that there with him. This guy. Another tactical rock. Again, kind of coming from his left, I think, so. Let's rip him some cork. So that's good to me. Sometimes it's easiest to cut the cork off after, because sometimes you'll have a piece that you're like, oh, that looks good, but you need to trim it a bit, and it's easier to do that once it's actually on the base, because then you don't accidentally rip off more than you want, because you can kind of cut it. Denver in October. Oh, Starmada. Okay, so you play Starmada and Cosmo. I play a lot of Starmada. Less so lately, but I definitely, last edition for sure. Lots of Starmada. Cosmo not as much. Denver. I think it's October is when it's planned for, but there have been delays with scheduling. Well, October's still pretty far away, so let's do her. I'm coming from the left again. Let's get a bit more. So, again, you don't want it just a straight coastline, so let's do that. So did you just recently start Infinity then, or has that been your game and now you're just considering getting into Warcrow? It's like you could have Cork stick past the base. I don't like to just because it's prone to getting bumped and knocked off. And her, since she's thankfully the other-handed one, we can have her have the fire coming from the other side because it fits better. Let's clean that up. We can really have it coming extreme. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. Okay, and then we'll just need to do the Hearth Guard. And we'll be done. And the stream will be ending then. And then again, I'll be posting about when I'll do some painting streams for these guys. I do want to try and do it this weekend, but just like I had planned on being painting today, sometimes things come up and it doesn't work out. So, and her should be like so. Cool. Now let's finish doing the cork ripping, and then we'll attach all the models at the end. So she's got a big old tactical rock, so she's definitely needing to have it on here. Otherwise, we're just gonna need to pretty much be a nice big chunk of rock for her. Maybe something like, is that big enough? Yes. Oh, let me see. There. There. Okay. And there. Okay. Yeah, she's going to pretty much need to be fully on. So that needs to be the only gap pretty much left. So let's just fill that in. Lots of super glue. Makes it stick better. And slide it on pretty much to my thumb. Like so. Started in N4. Been looking for that we didn't have a group playing in the town until then work our way back with Adventures. Okay, cool. Yeah. Adventures was fun. It was I went not all in but close to all in with Adventures, and it's actually the Mounthaven dwarf, the folder, the I can't remember his name, Ilwa or something. He's the one that convinced me to up my pledge because I really liked his model. The Spirit Fox looked just really cool. So let's do this. I'm not kind of talking through the process less now just because there's only so many times I'm sure people want to hear me say the exact same thing about the process I'm using to build these out. Okay, we want to try and not have lava on the other side. If we're trying to keep it all to one side. Oh, I just got a bunch of super glue on myself. Biwa, yeah, Biwa. That is the one. Love me some magic Spirit Fox. Oh, that's why, because this is oozing out from underneath there instead of sticking. There. Oh, there we go. So you will go. Wait, no. Yes. You'll go like so. Okay. Next. Are they walking towards the lava? It doesn't realistically, if you think about it, a lot of these don't make sense. They're almost walking, they're facing the lava head on, which, unless your opponent's on the other side of the lava, which, hey, could be. These guys have big old shields. Maybe they're blocking. Maybe there's an enemy with bows or something on the other side of the lava flow that they are kind of scaring away. Okay, so the chunk of cork that I ripped off, I just have little fragments now, and I still have one base to do, so it will be a patchwork base, I think, because I don't want to rip off more. He's got a big old chunk of rock, so we're just going to need to fill in this kind of section over here. We're just going to fill this in with cork. And let's do that the best we can. So first off, we can kind of do some like so. Nope. Just got it on my hand again. I'm just gonna do so. Do it like so. Probably would have been better just to rip a fresh chunk off instead of, you know, trying to MacGyver pieces together. But that's fine. I think once you paint it, yeah. Oh, I just glued my finger instead of the thing because it just slid. Okay. Well, pieces are now coming off of that instead of what I wanted. Okay, let's see. Can we make do with this? No, we're just making our lives more difficult. No. Of course, now you're gonna stick, eh? There, we're just gonna add that to the pile of used cork, and we're just gonna rip a new chunk. Well, let's hope I didn't rip that chunk too small. That works. Like so. Rip a. Kind of like a bit of a more of an indent there. Like so there. Okay, let's try this one last time. Just like, again, lots of super glue in my hands. Yeah, B was the nice, yeah. I do like the spirit bear on the folder that we got, although I kind of do wish we had a little owl. I kind of want to learn how to do some origami for when I'm bringing these guys to events instead of just having the card. Maybe if I can have a little origami owl or little origami bear to put on the card so it's easily remembered which one is active or on beside the unit, since the card will be attached, you know, not on the table. Okay, squeeze this down, and we're just about finished. Yeah, he fits onto that nicely. Perfect. And we'll just go back and this lifted up a bit, which is annoying, but fixable. But I hope you enjoy getting into Warcrow. It is a lot of fun. It's very different than Infinity, but in some ways it's, you know, there's parts of it that are almost opposite, where it's like Infinity is, you know, the rules are more, you know, almost dense, and you know, but once you get the rules, you know, everything is just a combination of skills in those rules. Whereas Warcrow, you know, a lot of units or most units have their own unique rules. So the actual units are the part that adds uniqueness rather than the combination of existing rules. Like there's a bit of that with keywords, but a lot less than Infinity, where that's kind of all of it. It's the combination of rules. Everyone shares the same rules. You have a different combination of rules on different units, and then a different combination of units with different rules and factions. So that's a cool thing about it. I find it generally plays faster. Also, in even more so than Infinity, it's very mission focused once you're playing missions, which is cool. I like that. I'm a big fan of just, I'm gonna try and kill you're just gonna smash my face into you, you smash your face into me. I can get metal foil origami paper. You can get wow, I might need to look into that. Metal foil origami paper. I feel like I should learn to do origami better before I start messing with metal origami paper. That seems more expensive than just like a pack of just like origami paper, like cheap origami paper. But we'll definitely need to look into that, because I just, when I go to cast the spell, just quickly fold a piece. Don't even bring it pre-folded, just quickly fold it at the table. Insist that I should get a bonus to my my casting roll for actually doing this magic. I think that's fair. If my opponent showed up and quickly folded a piece of thin metal into an owl or a bear, I'd be like, "Do you want? You just succeed." That level of commitment deserves the bonus. Or you can have the bonus success without needing to take the tinge, because that's commitment to the bit. I was surprised that they didn't have something to do with not gaining tinge, because they don't really interact with the tinge in the same way. But I guess either it would be unfair where they're getting a massive bonus, which scions already do, but that's beside the point. Or it would be they can't take a tinge to succeed, which would be a big downside to their casting, because it would make it significantly less reliable. So the outcome, the approach they took is probably the best approach, but I was kind of expecting something to do with their magic being different in terms of the tinge, but just trimming them up. Again, they don't need to be perfect. Even if they just have the feel of following the line of the base, then it just seems cleaner. I feel like you see a lot of more elaborate bases with overhangs, but especially when I'm not doing multi-layered, I'm not gonna bother with an overhang. I'm not gonna bother with it overhanging the base. Also, just from a playability standpoint, anything that sticks past the base of a model makes it more difficult to position on a table. So they already have axes that stick past in many cases, and shields, so let's keep it as simple as possible, right? Anyone that knows Infinity, it's worse in Infinity because facing matters, but everyone knows in Infinity the classic of, okay, my guy is actually touching the wall, but his arm does not allow him, or he is facing forward, not backwards, but he has a sword pointing forward, so he's actually facing the reverse of what the line of sight markings show, because that's the only way I can position him where he needs to be. Final guy. It's funny in some ways, because the War Augur is the only one with the extra layer. It's almost like, oh, is he in charge? Because anyone coming from 40k background, usually it's the model with the highest basing. That guy is the one in charge of your force, but That is not true today. It is just a practicality. And I just wanted to... He's the only one that I was like, oh, you're not dynamic enough and pretty stationary. Let's just give you that bonus piece. So, okay, final step. Glue the last couple models to their bases. And then I'll probably end up, because I usually use magnetized cases, I'll probably magnetize these guys. Magnets are tricky. I can never find the ones that I exactly want, and right now I'm just using some really tiny ones that are just ever so slightly, I think, thicker than the bases. Not so much that you really get a noticeable wobble, especially this on a table. You don't really get any. Like the second you're on a neoprene mat, the extra depth is just completely lost. I wanted to fire more from behind him, so let's get him as far turned as possible. There. Nice thing is, because they don't really have any they're very thick boys and girls. You can really push down on them when you need to get something to stick without it snapping or breaking. Just grab them by their bodies and just push. There we go. Maybe some variation of where the lava is to the model just makes it a bit more interesting. So like her, it's more coming from behind. So there. So the militia done, and now just the Hearth Guard to go. Try not to blow too much right now because there's little bits of cork I don't want flying everywhere. But yeah, her cork's pushing up a bit there, which I don't like. Nope. Nope. Push it under. That's annoying. It's kind of just sticking up. So what I can do actually is just, if it doesn't want to go down, we can just jam some cork in. Or even add some weird depth to it almost. There. And that cork's soaked, so that'll be nice and solid. And of course another part wants to get in on the action. You can do stuff like that. You can just kind of use some extra crumbs of cork to add some interest to the rock flow. The rock flow, the lava flow. Maybe I'll see how I feel later. Maybe I'll go around and add some more little bits of rock like that. And some others just to make it a bit less like I just ripped off some cork. I did just rip off some cork, but you know, sometimes you don't want it to look that way. Okay. The boss lady needed a good amount of, there we go. And the final guy, the art Hearth Guard. Around too much, otherwise the cork will absorb the glue in the wrong part of cork. There. The wrong section of cork will absorb it there. Oh, that's kind of there. Squeeze it on. There's just a little bit there. I'm just gonna very so carefully let a little bit of super glue there without messing up the details. Push and blowing it a bit sometimes helps it dry. Yeah, there he is. There are all the Hearth Guard, the Militia, the Raiders, Augur and Rodri, Keeper and the Folder, leading them all, Olga. But that is the stream. I'm just going to call it there. They are all assembled. They are all ready and based. They are all ready just to get the first layers of paint, and then I'll be back in a later stream to do the actual painting of them. But that, have a great day, or have a great night, depending on what time it is, where you are, or when you're watching this. And as always, may the dice be ever in your favor.